Welcome to episode 40 of Military Veterans Podcast, where we talk to veterans to learn about their stories and experiences. And today we're joined by Den Vuqitrna.
Sweet.
Did I get that right, Den?
Yeah, you did, yeah.
Nice.
Impressive. I might get to speak to my GP. So
Yeah?
when they say my surname, I'm like, speak to Gav.
Sweet. I got it right. Den, you're also known as V in the military. Is that right?
Yeah, all my mates that I served with knew me as V.
Okay.
And there's a story behind that. So if you want to...
Yeah, share it now before we dive in, yeah.
So when I first joined up, I was standing on the parade square when you go to basic, and this petty officer, I can't remember his name, he was walking across everyone looking at their name badges, and he looked at me and goes, "What the fuck is that?" And I said my surname, he went, "Fucking V." And that was it. And that's how it just stuck with me.
So it just stuck?
Yeah.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, we all get nicknames in the military, don't we? Whether it's just like our surnames.
I'm glad I've got fucking V and nothing else, because there's a lot of words you can make with my surname, so I'm happy with V.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being a guest on the show. Quite an exciting episode. I mentioned this to you off air.
Yeah.
But this is actually, as mentioned, the 40th episode, but it is also the last episode of year 3 for Military Veterans Podcast. So it's kind of a cool episode to round up year 3. So it's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it is. I'm glad. Look, episode 40. I'll never forget what episode I am. So if I want to show someone, number 40, mate, crack on.
That's it. And also you've travelled to my home. So thank you for doing that.
It was a blessing, to be fair. Got away from 2 screaming kids. So I'm happy.
But you are only the second guest that's actually come here, because I normally travel to them or do a remote recording. So it's a privilege for me to have you here.
Thanks,
and you were a little bit impressed, I guess shocked a little bit by the setup when you walked in.
I am, to be fair.
It's just my lounge and I've just put the podcast in it.
Honestly, it looks like you're about to record a Hollywood movie. I was like, so many lights.
Yeah.
I haven't done my makeup, so I apologise if everyone goes, "Oh, look at that ugly guy."
Yeah, fine. We'll put a filter on or something.
Happy days.
Okay, so as previous episodes, we've got the 4 questions. For yourself, Den. Oh, do I call you Den or V?
Mate,
I don't know.
Help yourself. Fucking V if you want.
We'll do them in pairs, okay? So the first 2 questions are, when did you join? And also, what service and branch did you join?
Yeah, so I joined in beginning of 2008. I think it was just before my birthday, so I think it might have been April. And I joined the Royal Navy, and Fleet Air Arm was the branch within the Royal Navy that I joined.
Okay. I mean, you're only my second guest from the Royal Navy.
Okay.
So I will probably ask some silly questions, because the area, the Fleet Arm, is kind of interesting to me. And we'll touch on more of that later. But yeah, kind of looking forward to that part.
Yeah.
And then the other 2 questions are, how long did you serve for, and what rank did you get to?
So I served until near the end of 2015. I got to the rank of leading hand, which is equivalent to a corporal in the army.
Okay.
Or the RAF.
So that's about 8 years?
Yeah, so just under 8 years. Just
8 years
under 8
service.
years. I'm not going to say to everyone I've done 8 years, because I haven't done my 8 years, so it's just under.
How short?
I think about 3-4 months, I think it was.
3-4 months, okay.
If I would have done my 12 months notice, I would have gone over the 8 years, but I was allowed early termination.
Yeah.
Which was mint, because I got to do the job that I wanted to do when I left.
And we'll definitely touch on that later. But we'll round up to 8, because we did over 7.5, and
okay, yeah,
we'll round up to 8 just for the
I'll take 8
purpose of the show and your episode.
happy.
All right. Well, V, let's rewind the clock. Where was you born and where did you grow up?
So I was born in a country called Kosovo. Quite a few army guys, ex-army guys, would know where Kosovo is. I was born in a city called Pristina, which is the capital city. And I was born there in 1989, and we left Kosovo at the age of 4. We moved over to the UK, where my family claimed asylum because of the tensions that were developing between Serbia and Kosovo at the time.
Right.
Obviously, the UK, being the great country that is, it allowed us to stay. Where then my dad started working, my mum started working, and I grew up in a place in northwest London called Willesden. and then moved
Willesden.
and
Okay.
then we moved to West London, a place called Bayswater, where I started my young education.
Okay.
Yeah.
So before you moved to the UK, do you remember much? Do you remember much about Kosovo?
Yeah. So I remember certain things about Kosovo. I've never spoken to my parents about it because they've never asked, but I remember there was a curfew. So around about 9:30, 10, the streets were empty. And you used to see police vehicles. They were police vehicles, but they were with camouflage or black. And they used to go around checking who was out and checking their IDs. I remember seeing that. And I remember my dad, coming back to the house late at night, but avoiding street lighting and whatnot. So I remember it. I mean, during the day it was mint. The local Serbians and the Kosovars that lived in my area, but our neighbours, we were all good friends. No one had any qualms. Obviously, it was a political thing at the time.
Okay.
But my dad he played football with some of the guys that were Serbian, who probably are still alive today, and they live in different parts of the world, or maybe Serbia. But I've got no hostility against Serbians. I was a little kid at the time.
Yeah.
It's what I read now that sometimes affects me, sometimes doesn't.
Okay.
Well, that one of the reasons why I joined up was because of what had happened.
All right. And then you say, you moved here with the family.
Yeah, my mum and my dad at the time.
Yeah. So you're a single child, only child?
No. So my two sisters were born here.
Right. Okay.
So we were put into a hotel when we first moved here by the government, which is great. And my mum was pregnant with my first sister. She was born whilst we were in the hotel, and then we got moved into our first proper accommodation, if you like, a flat in London, and that's where my second sister was born.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. And then what was like growing up here from when you moved with the likes of school, and was it a good time?
I love school
Yeah.
in this country. I think the educational system in this country is mint. If you don't take advantage of that, then there's something really wrong with you. I think it's free. You've got some of the best teachers. So I remember growing up, I've always, one thing so I was thinking about this on the way here in the car. Growing up, you can look at me and I look like a white English kid, but I've always been the outcast because growing up, I had the language barrier, which was a big thing for me. My religious beliefs were different, and sometimes growing up in the schools that I went to, I was the only white kid. So it was weird.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So I would be one of two white kids in my class, which allowed me to grow up and appreciate cultures, appreciate backgrounds a lot. I've got friends from every different background, every different religion, and I just think it's being from London. I know some people are not from London, but the multiculturalism that is London is great. I love it. My wife, me and my wife have spoken about moving just up north of London, and it scares me a little bit leaving behind London. But obviously, with the prices at the moment, I've got no choice.
Yeah. So with school, you enjoyed. Was there anything you were really good at, or was you kind of like an average kid?
Oh, mate, no. PE would have been same as many. PE, because you got to waste that energy. I remember my year 9 exams. My mum got called in, and I remember my science. So it was parents' evening. I remember my science teacher telling my mum. She said, I've got a feeling your son's going to be. I remember the word homeless when he's older.
Really?
Honestly. And my mum, being my mum, walked out crying in the foyer, saying, I've raised the failure, it's all my fault, blah, blah. So she, got me this private tutor. We used to pay 20 quid a session, I think it was at the time. And fair play to the guy. He was a scientist that was part of the team that cloned Dolly the sheep.
Oh, yeah.
And he was only doing it just for some spare cash. And he was teaching me science and maths. And both I got a B in.
Okay.
In my GCSEs. But I was predicted Fs and Gs and whatever the alphabet goes down to when you get your grade. So I lost touch with him. I'd love to catch up with the guy again, because if it weren't for him, I probably would have failed my exams. which then helped because when you join the military, they look at your qualifications and maths and English. English, I got to see, it's pretty hard to fail English, especially if you speak the language, unless you don't speak the language. But
I failed it, by the way, so thanks.
well then, maybe I'll come teach you some English. No, but I got a C in English, and I think you needed 5 ATCs to join the Fleet Air Arm. And if you didn't have them, they put you through some key skills courses where you get a level 3 or whatnot during basic or during your trade training to allow you to. So whilst people were going to do these courses, I was allowed to sit in my room.
Right.
I was meant to iron or do something and just feet up, chill out. Yeah, no, it's good.
Oh, nice. Did you mention PE or anything at school?
Yeah, PE. I loved PE.
You were good at that?
But my parents didn't let me do it as a GCSE. I remember they just didn't see it as a lot of people from my background, families, they're worried that they're portrayed as a failure if their kid doesn't go to university. And which is something that I've proven to my family is not the case. So I do pretty okay in life, and they seem to think that, well, now they agree with me, but at the time it was, if you don't go to uni, you're a failure. They didn't understand that there were apprenticeships out there that you potentially end up making more money than someone who went to, Cambridge.
Yeah.
But they didn't see that. To them, is if you need to be a doctor, you need to be a lawyer, you need to be a dentist, have a title.
Okay.
You know?
So you didn't go to uni?
No.
But did you do college or?
So I went to college. I went to
college?
Kingston College in Surrey, which is pretty cool. I did. So I started off doing A-levels, so A-level physics, A-level maths. I hated it, and I just said, "This is not for me." So I went home and I said to my mum, "This is going to be a wasted year." So we sat down with the prospectus and we looked at it again. I said, "Do you know what? That looks good. Manufacturing engineering. I like that. It might be something I might enjoy." So I started. It was mint. Engineering was something I understood. It's black and white, you know. The reason a metal cracks at this temperature, or this works like this, or this gear does this, you can see it. And I thought, this is what I want to do. I can understand. Whereas you look at physics, or you look at the equations, why does that X turn into Y, and why does that turn into this small 2? It threw me off.
Yeah.
But with engineering, okay, there are equations that you need to do, but they're not as bad as A-level physics. Hopefully I never see physics again in my life, mate, honestly.
Nice. Well, a lot of us feel that way, I think.
Well, I've never used any of those equations in life.
Yeah.
Ever. I do multiplications down my daughter, plus and minuses. That's as much as I do.
Yeah.
And I'll get her a tutor when it comes to it.
And so at what point was you contemplating joining the military? Was it whilst you were in college or?
Yeah. So in college, I could see everyone doing their personal statements, applying to universities. And I just thought, I don't want to be paying all this money, going in to all this debt, you know, to go away somewhere. I probably would have gone to a London university to avoid the fees of, you know, accommodation, food, and just stayed with my mum and dad. But I just could not justify. I think at the time it was only 3 or 4 grand a year, so it wasn't that much. But I just did not understand the concept of having to pay, whereas people in Scotland were getting it for free. I just didn't understand it. So I said to my mum, I said, you know, I'm thinking of doing an apprenticeship somewhere. All hell broke loose. No, that's a failure. That's not right. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that. And then I went to a bodybuilding show with a friend of mine who was a professional bodybuilder. And as we were leaving, there was these stands. And there was this guy in an RAF uniform. And I just started speaking to him. He says, yeah. He goes, if you're going to finish college, you know, you can sign up to the RAF. I was like, mint. Gave me this pack. There's forms in the back. I filled out the forms. And then on there where it says citizenship, I wrote Kosovan. I don't know why. I got a letter back saying, we can't take you on if you've got Kosovan citizenship. You need to be British. I was like, but I've got a British passport. So I walked into the careers office and I thought I've made a mistake on my application form. I am British. And there was no one there for the RAF, but there was this warrant officer Fernandez, big guy. I remember, really stocky guy. And I just remember him putting his massive hand on my neck going, follow me, shipmate. And that was it. I started filling out the forms for the Navy.
Oh, right.
That was it.
Right.
He goes, you don't want to join the RAF? He goes, no, you don't want that. He goes, no one, look, because they're not even here. He was slating off the RAF for a good 20 minutes. And he goes, what you want to do is you want to go to sea. You don't go to war. He goes, don't have phone connection. You don't have to speak to anyone. Just go to sea, fix stuff, or do what you're doing on board. I was like, mint, this sounds mint, get to go to sea. Didn't tell me I'd be going Afghan. Anything like that. No, but yeah, so he helped me out. He's a really, really nice guy. So when I applied correctly this time with my, British citizenship on the paperwork, I got given a date, and I remember getting a phone call from this warrant officer saying, we've had someone drop out. Can you start in 2 weeks? I was like, mate, that is big news. So I go to my mum. I said, Mum, look, just so you know, I was supposed to start in September. I didn't actually mention that I forged a signature on the RAF paperwork. So she didn't know nothing.
Underage? Or?
I was 17 at the time.
17.
So she didn't know. And she only knew when I told her that I got the paperwork and I'd forged my signature. But then she signed my Navy paperwork after telling her that, they'll pay for education.
Right.
They'll potentially pay for my university and whatnot. And that's how I got her to agree. So then when I got this phone call saying, can you start in 2 weeks? I said, stupidly, I went, yeah, fine. It's like a walk in the park. What's wrong with me? It's 2 weeks. Anyway, I told my mum, and then he sends me a letter, and it says all the stuff that you need: white toothpaste, this, that. So I was still a kid. Mum, I need this stuff. So she runs out to Tesco's or Sainsbury's, gets all the stuff ready for me, bam, bam, bam. And 2 weeks later, I find myself at Paddington Station, jumping on a train, going to, HMS Raleigh.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, man.
So big eye opener there, no doubt. But before you mention about actually arriving, did you have any inkling about the military before you saw or spoke to that RAF person? No.
So when he told, you've got to do, I think it's a competency test or something in the careers office, and that tells you what jobs are available to you.
Yeah.
And because I had good maths, and my brain was fresh of maths at the moment, and engineering, you can relate the two, and science was there. So you do the test, and I came up with, he said you can do, I think he said the jobs that was open for me is I could do ATC, which is air traffic controller, aircraft engineer, or marine engineer, which were the highest roles that I could do. Obviously, you've got other roles that you can do as well. So you've got your weapons engineering and whatnot. And I thought, aircraft engineering sounds cool. So I applied for aircraft engineering at the time. And I remember going home and searching aircraft in the Royal Navy. And, you've got your Sea Kings, your Harriers at the time, your Merlins, your Lynxes. So I was doing a bit of background checks. And the only thing that the Navy had that was fast jet was Harriers. Whereas the RAF have, they line up their aircraft. They've got loads. But so I started looking at the Harriers, and then, I think it was Wikipedia at the time. You could pick of what conflicts it took part in, and it said Kosovo. I went, wow. Right. And so straight away I was connected to wanting to work on Harriers.
Okay.
So obviously, once you go into your trade training, they ask you to pick what aircraft you want to go on, and you pick your first, second, and third choice. Cornwall being your last choice because it's a mission to get back home. So you're trying to find an RAF Wittering, which is where the Navy is working out of, was Peterborough.
Right,
so
okay.
Piece of piss just to get on the A1 straight up.
Nice. So let's go back to you getting on that train at Paddington and heading to... is it basic training? And
yeah, so HMS Raleigh.
It's called basic?
Yeah, it was basic training.
Okay, cool. How did you find that?
It was... So I remember getting on the train, looking back out the window, waving to my mum and dad. And my dad he couldn't wave to me because he was trying to hold my mum up, who had collapsed on the floor, crying, thinking I'm going off to World War III or something. I was like, mate, it's basic here. Do you know what I mean? But she was crying anyway. So I was on this train, and I could see all these people in white shirts or massive ties that they've worn at weddings. Because it was all 17, 18-year-olds. First time ever leaving home. You have to wear a suit on your first day. And I remember I had a white shirt, a tie, trousers. And I was on this train, and a lot of us looked the same. All right, everyone had different hairdo. Some people had already shaved their head, but some people had colours in their hair. Some people had braids and things. I didn't know anything about it. It was just everyone just looked the same, young. You get off, and then you had this really, really nicely spoken person. You know, I'm waiting for US Marine Corps, just shouting at me, no, all right, mate, just stand up there. As you do, you stood there, you get put into this bus. As soon as you come off the bus, that's when the shouting started. So they're trying to avoid you going back on that train.
Running away.
I remember that. So, yeah, no, it was good. And we had this, we were allocated our petty officers, our division officer at the time. And I can't remember his name, but yeah, he's a stocky, bold guy, supported Wigan Rugby Club or something. I just remember that. And he had a temper. Oh, man. I was thinking, I'm joining the Navy, not the Marines. Do you know what I mean? But he just loved shouting. And when he got angry, he just got really red. And his forehead got redder than his face. It was just a weird... I just remember that. And yeah, no, it was an eye-opener, to be honest. Washing clothes by hand. We didn't have washing machines, which is pretty... You learn how to do that. Ironing. I used to iron at home. My dad used to give me my clothes to iron, so it's cool. But, you know, your personal... Just growing up, I grew up a lot in that 10 weeks or 9 weeks, however long it was. I grew up a lot. And I just remember getting into fights in our mess deck. I remember, you know, pillow fighting naked, as you do, with gas masks on. I don't know why. Do you know what I mean? But you know, I remember sleeping opposite a guy called James Thorogood. Good friend of mine, lives up Manchester way. Still in contact with him now. Every now and then I'll give him a text. Yeah, man, there's just people, you know, Mark McLaughlin, who works in London now, he's got his missus, he's got his new house. And these people you still keep in contact with. Yeah. I meet up with him. He came round to mine to watch the football not long ago. And yeah, it's true what they say, you know, you don't see someone for maybe 2-3 years, but you sit down, it's like it's been 2 days.
Yeah.
You crack open a beer and you just start talking about shit that's, you know, standard everyday talk. And just like, I said it to him, I said, Mark, do you realise we've not seen each other for a good year and a half and we're just talking about it like it's nothing?
Yeah.
And it's mint. I really, really
it's
enjoy
one
it.
Good thing about military
I love it.
Culture.
And the banter's still there.
Yeah.
So if you don't see a friend of yours that you've not seen since college, and it's been 10 years, and I start talking with my banter now, I think they'd be a bit worried. Like, this guy's got a mental health problem. Do you know what I mean? Especially if they see me drunk. Like, what's wrong with him?
So with basic, you mentioned about having those pillow fights. I thought I thought only women did that. Maybe that's the difference between Army and Navy.
No, we don't discriminate in the Navy. We all do the same.
What did you call the place where you sleep?
So that's the mess.
You say
so,
mess deck?
Mess deck, yeah.
Mess
so
deck.
on board ship, your mess is where you sleep. Well, I think the Army and the RAF, the mess is where you eat.
Where you eat, yeah.
Yeah. That we call that the Scran Hall. So that's where we have Scran. And you guys called it Scoff House.
Yeah, Scoff House.
So we call it Scran, which was funny because when the Army came on board the ships, they were like, where's the mess? And we'd always send them to the rooms. We knew where they wanted to go, but it was, you're on our turf now.
Yeah.
You know, the toilets are the heads.
Oh, really?
But when there was no Army on board, because we were Fleet Air Arm, we used to be on the flight deck. Everyone would hate us because we'd be suntanning while everyone was cleaning, because we were in charge of the aircraft. Once you service your aircraft, chill out, mate. Do you know what I mean? So once the Army were off, we then became the most hated.
Right.
So when you want to go toilet, you now don't say heads. Where's the toilets, mate? And they're like, you get this fish head who's been on board for 20 years, who smells of seawater. He'll be like, it's a fucking head. What's a head, mate? You know what a head is. Do you know what I mean? So the galley is where we eat. So where you sit down to eat is the galley.
Okay.
So you go, where's the dinner hall? Oh, mate. You just think, you're so sad. You've been here 20 odd years.
You can't have a laugh.
Oh, my God. But yeah, no.
Good.
I enjoyed my time on ship.
So when you finish basic training, when we finish basic training in the Army, we have what we call a pass-out parade.
Yeah.
So we have families come down, they watch us do marching on the parade square or something like that.
Yeah.
A similar thing in the Navy?
Yeah, exactly the same thing. We had the winning class and the losing class, but you're both winners because you're passing out. But there's two classes, you go up against each other, whoever gets most points. So the winning class gets shiny bayonets
Really? Okay.
Yeah, and the losing class just gets standard rusty bayonets. I wasn't part of the losing class, but we won't talk about that much. But yeah, we pass out. I remember my mum, my dad, my sister came down, my auntie, her husband. They all came down the night before because you're allowed out that night before to go out for a meal with your family. So we went to a local restaurant and had some food. So it was pretty nice to see my mum. My mum was like, "Oh my God, you look sick," because I'd lost a lot of weight.
Right.
I was a fat kid growing up.
Okay.
So you can imagine the mile and a half for me weren't easy. But they got me from doing, 11 minutes 50 to doing 8.5 minutes.
Really?
I was like, mate, it's the fittest. I could see an outline of my six pack at the time. I was like, I look good. Do you know what I mean? Within 2 months out of that, straight on the pints, the burgers, that was gone.
Gone. Nice. So after basic completes, where do you go next?
So I went to a place called HMS Sultan, which is, it all depends on where your trade training is.
Right, so you go do trade training next.
So it's your initial 6 months trade training. This is basic aviation.
For you?
For and all the aircraft engineers.
All the engineers, right.
So this is basic, so theory of flight, what keeps an aircraft in the air, what stuff has it got in it, but it covers all the aircraft.
Okay.
And then you, near the end of that, once you've done all your exams, I think it's an exam every 2-3 weeks. Once you've done all your exams, you then pick what aircraft type you want to work on.
That's what you mentioned earlier.
So I put Harriers, Lynxes, and Green Sea Kings because it was Peterborough, Yeovil, and then least preferred was Merlin, which is down Coldrose, down south, Cornwall way.
Okay.
And I don't know that part of the country. It was too far to get home. And luckily I got Harriers, which was mint. So I turned up, and then you once you pass out, so you have a little passing out parade from trade after 6 months.
Right, it's the 6 months and then
you go to your apprenticeship.
Right, which is linked to the aircraft
you're on,
right.
Which was the Harriers for me, which was 20 Squadron at RAF Vuqitrna.
Right. Just a question on that as well. So I might be wrong here, but off the top of my head, the Harriers are the jets. The other three you mentioned, are they all helicopters?
Yeah, so the Sea King, you had various types of Sea Kings. So you had your search and rescue, which was down Cornwall way.
Which we see, and it's like the big yellow
ones.
one.
Yeah, I think it's run by civilians now. I don't know.
Okay.
But then you had your Merlin, which is a massive old helicopter, which is a one-up from the Sea King, which is now taking over the Sea Kings at Yeovilton. There's no more Sea Kings. They've all been decommissioned. So there's Merlins now. And then you had the Lynx.
Which is the small. Yeah.
But the Sea Kings also had the Green Sea Kings, which were the Mark IV, which is what used to go to Afghan.
Oh, okay.
Which was what I worked on after the Harriers. We were called Commando Helicopter Force, but we weren't bootnecks.
Right.
We weren't Marines. We fixed those aircraft for the Marines to fly out of, which they did out in Afghan. But yeah, I worked. So I worked on the Harriers, and then I volunteered. Well, I sort of voluntold to go to do anti-piracy.
Right.
And there's a story behind that.
Okay. Well, let's talk about you. So you go to Wittering.
Yeah.
Is that right? Wittering.
Yeah.
I feel like we had an RAF lady on before. I feel like she was there, Wittering.
There would have been if there was medics, there was stores persons there, there was a load of trades there.
Yeah.
RAF people. But only aircraft engineers from the Navy.
Right. Okay, cool. Yeah, because Rachel Williamson, she was a previous guest on the show, and I think I called it Witterington. I had the ton on, don't know why. Tried to sound posh.
Yeah,
so you get there. So you're doing training purely on the Harriers?
Yeah. So you get given you do exams. You do quite a few exams, but you get given a book, a logbook. And you've got to cover so many mechanical jobs, so many electrical jobs. This is before you can get picked whether you're a mechanical engineer or an electrical engineer or a radio engineer.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to be mechanical because, as I said before, I like to see how things work.
Yeah.
Electrical is boxes with fairies inside. It makes no sense. And radio is waves. I can't see waves.
See those. Yeah.
So mechanical is something I've always been. I like to see how things work. But you get given this massive logbook. I was lucky because at my squadron, so with this logbook, my chief, he took a liking to me. I took a liking to him. He was a really sound guy. He's out in Dubai at the moment teaching the Dubai Air Force or whatever, or somewhere like that, Kuwait. Really nice guy. And one of the leading hands, I was a sprog then. I was an able rate. He took a liking to me, and he invited me to like barbecues and whatnot. And I think, the reason he took liking to it is he boxed, and we both boxed. And so I joined the boxing club at Vuqitrna, and he invited me to the barbecue. And I remember a few weeks beforehand, I was thinking, I'm stressing out with this logbook because there's a lot of things. I was a bit of a slacker. I enjoyed drinking on a Thursday night instead of, sitting there trying to get my logbook together. And he said, do you know what? He goes, come around to my barbecue on this day, bring your logbook with you. And he made every single person that came over bring one work number, which is to a task, a job. And he said, they're going to sign each box out for you. I remember my task book going round this garden with love hearts, but people signed it off, but people were drawing penises on it, drawing love hearts, you name it, everything was on there. So you can imagine me handing over this logbook to my chief, going, I finished it. And they're all backdated. I did none of those jobs. I'm not going to lie to you.
Okay.
No, but I might have done maybe 20% of those jobs. And I remember, handing him, he goes, what the fuck is this? I was like, I'm sorry, chief. I said I left it loafing in the waiting room or whatever. And he just goes, all right, I'll take it in. And he's scribbling them out. We took a liking to me. He could have easily just said, fucked it off and said, start again.
Yeah.
He's a good guy, Chief Hammond. And and that was it. That was my trade training done. And then I got, I was allowed to pick to be a mechanical engineer.
Cool. And then did you stay there or did you move on?
So the funny story was I started working there. So you start off as a liney, basically. You taxi the aircraft in, and then you service them, put them to bed, or you get them ready for the morning flights. You check their levels, top them up, and you work with the more experienced guys once the aircraft are in, just to build up your experience, which was, do engine changes, changing panels, just every job there is going. But I remember I fell out with this Warrant Officer Price, her name was. She was just a prick. She did not like me. I've obviously said something that offended her once or twice, maybe. I don't know why she took a dislike to me. And so I remember speaking to this chief one day, and he was like, how are you getting on? I said, look, it's all mint. I said, I'm enjoying the job. I said, it's cool. You know what I mean? And, I'm working on aircraft. I've got 20 million PlayStation out there I can just work on. And he's like, yeah. He goes, how's you getting on with everyone? I said, everyone's mint apart. I said, look, I'm going to be, can I speak openly? He goes, yeah, crack on. I said, Warrant Officer Price. Sorry, I know I'm not saying.
I'll bleep that bit out.
Sorry, mate. That's what I said. I said, she's a bit of a... And then, he went, oh, yeah, why? And I said, look, blah, blah, this is the reason. And he goes, oh, okay. I thought nothing of it. I found out that's Chief Petty Officer Price. That's her husband.
Oh, really? I know.
So I found out. Then I got called into her office 2 weeks later. He was sitting at the table opposite. I'm sitting, so I'm standing, and she gives me this piece of paper. She goes, "Oh, I've selected you to do this thing called roll on, roll off." I was like, "What is it?" She goes, "Oh, you're going down to Somalia, down the coast of Somalia, down the Suez Canal, for a few months." It's about 4 months, I think it was, off the Suez Canal, off Somalia, and basically all it was is cargo that was going to Pakistan. We're protecting it because it goes from Pakistan to Afghanistan.
Okay.
And it was all new kit, and then we're bringing stuff back. But at the same time, you got pirates, you got little dinghies. Do you know what I mean? It was the first time I'd ever seen the GPMG. So we had a crash course on the GPMG in Portsmouth by this warfare petty officer who thought he was a Marine. He weren't. I was like, mate, you're a sailor, right? Relax yourself. We're all sailors here. We know where you're at. Anyway, he was teaching us this GPMG. And that was the first time I saw a machine gun. And we mounted them on this ship. There was each corner and the middle. So you had aft and forward. They had two 2 at the rear, and then 2 in the middle, starboard and port, and then you're just overlooking, and you're just going down, and it was weird, man. It was like 45-degree heat, just standing on deck, just watching out for pirates, just constantly just watching out for pirates. And sometimes you'll see drug smugglers quite a lot, little dinghies, but they get picked up, and that's how pirates attack.
Right.
And they attack with little dinghies, and what they have is they're so smart. Okay, people write them off. They're very smart at what they do. Well, I'll just quickly, I'll tell you what they do. So they'll get 2 little dinghies in front of a ship, and they'll hold a massive rope between them. As the ship pulls on the rope, pulls them to the side of the ship. They put on their long ladders, and they climb up with their AK-47s or whatever they've got, and they take over the ship, hold the ship ransom. That country then pays, or that company pays the ransom, $1 million, $2 million to these people, and they release the ship, and the ship goes off.
Right.
It's mental, but they're so smart at what they do. And all these ships have got water cannons to try throw them off. And so hence why we were there. But the problem was, well, I say it weren't a problem, but we were told that if any nearby ships were being attacked, we would have to provide assistance. So every now and then you'd get a call going, oh, the captain will come down, which is a civilian captain. He goes, oh, we just had a radio call. You'd go nearby. It was a false call. So you're there, you're rushing out, trying to put trousers on trousers on, and your T-shirt on, your helmet on, you're all backwards. You're like 3 o'clock in the morning. You've got your night vision goggles. Honestly, I thought like I was in Star Wars. I'm Joe Bloggs, who's just left the Navy, just finished his apprenticeship. I'm now wearing night vision goggles. I can see a laser. I was thinking, this is mint.
And you only got to do that because they just tried to get rid of you for a little bit.
She didn't like me.
Yeah.
Which I thought was, do you know what? At the time, I thought, I'm going off the coast of Somalia. This is going to be boring. Do you know what I mean? This is going to be
But you
rubbish.
enjoyed it.
I met some cool guys. I got some photos. I'll give you. I got some photos of me holding up a GPMG thinking I'm Rambo. It was a cool experience. It's the first time I've been to sea. So I was seasick really badly.
Okay.
The chef on board, he took a liking to us. So he'd give us, and we were such a small crew. You had the ship's crew, and you had, I think it was 6 of us. 4 months being at sea, you just trained, and you ate a lot. Okay. So I put on weight. Usually you lose weight when you're on board sea because all you got to do is train. I put on weight. Did you have to
make contact? Like
no. So I made ready once. That was. I'd been in the Navy now 1.5 years, and I'd made ready, and I just remember pulling on this GPMG like that, and then I was thinking, oh my God, I said I'm gonna have to shoot someone here.
Oh, no.
I'm a sailor. I'm not taking a life. Do you know what I mean? What's going on? I'm in the wrong place. And I remember the chief on the radio, because he's standing on the bridge. He goes, right, then, V, can you make ready? Clunk, clunk. So the rules were, I remember the rules were being warning shots twice. So warning shots, because he'll tell you, it goes warning shots, port side, 20 degrees off target, and you do warning shots, and then you got 10 degrees or something like that. And then if they start shooting, you start sending rounds down. But you also had your SA-80 on you. So the GPMG was, you're only allowed to shoot with the GPMG if you get given orders to shoot from the GPMG. But the SA-80, that was your card alpha, basically.
Okay.
You know when to shoot with that. Luckily, this dinghy was coming towards us. I've made ready, and he just swayed left. Oh my God, mate. My knees, I remember doing that. My knees were shaking. I was thinking, what have I got?
So you never shot into the water?
No. We did loads of training rounds.
I did training rounds, but you didn't actually do it on.
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
No. And then just shooting. We throwing targets out, and that was mint. I really enjoyed that.
What kind of targets?
Anything you find on a ship that'll float. Anything. Old men, just throwing them off of that. No, we had like buckets, massive buckets that they'd used for like the industrial oil that they'd use to cook the food. You'd get massive big bottles, throw them out. You'd tie a rope onto it, and you just try to hit the target.
Okay, and then you put it back in when you
put it back in. I think we only done that so we can clean the GPMGs. It's the only reason. Yeah, it was mint. I really enjoyed that bit. I enjoyed. Obviously, that was the highlight of the beginning of my career. Is making ready on a GPMG.
Nice.
So you get, what on earth have I done here? What have I got myself into? But yeah, it's cool.
That's good. So you come back from there after shooting up some bottles.
Do you know what I mean?
And where do you go back to Wittering and then you move on from there, or what?
Yeah, so I went back to Wittering, and once I got back to Wittering, I was back on the line, basically taxiing aircraft and servicing aircraft and working with other engineers. I started getting a really, I don't know, I started missing being on water. I just found it very therapeutic to be at sea. It's the only ever time I had no anxiety ever in my life.
Okay.
Honestly, because you've got no phone reception. So you don't know if anyone's hurt. You don't know if you've got any bills pending. You know nothing, honestly. Your house could blow up. You don't know about it unless someone sends an email to send someone else an email, and then gets to you. So I went and spoke to that Chief Hammond, because he was now at Wittering with me, because he was at Portsmouth first and now he's at Wittering. And I just said, look, I miss being on board. I really do miss being at sea. And he goes, do you know what? He goes, there are some sailors who've probably done 10 days at sea in their 20, 30-year career. So it's good to have people who want to go to sea. And I was like, just send me to sea. And I got my papers through saying I'm joining a ship called HMS Ark Royal. I knew nothing about aircraft carriers, nothing. So, yeah, meet this ship down at Portsmouth at so-and-so date. I have this kit with you. And I just turned up, and obviously I took the train because I didn't drive at the time. I took the train, and that was it. And I joined this ship, and I joined the mess deck called 2 Delta, which is on 2 deck. It was Delta room because it starts like A, B, C, D, and as you go rear,
Okay.
to Z.
Yeah.
So it's 2 Delta right next to the toilets. Just convenient. But yeah, I joined 2 Delta, and then we went from there. So we had a few nights out in Portsmouth, and then we went straight from there to Newcastle. And that was a night out in Newcastle. It was my first ever time, to be fair, away from London, like in the UK, northwards. So the accents were different. You know, obviously I've seen different accents in the Navy at the time in basic and whatnot. But I started to, you know, appreciate people, and, you know, we were in Scotland, definitely Newcastle. And then from there, we went to Hamburg. So what was happening is, I think the Navy knew that the ship was going to get decommissioned. So it was trying to get as many miles in as much as possible. I just missed out America.
Oh, right. Okay.
So if I didn't go to Somalia, I would have been on the ship, because I would have said, look, put me on board a ship, maybe. I would have been on the ship, and I would have joined it to go Vegas.
Okay.
I was gutted, because all these guys had come back. There was a marriage certificate on a wall. Or is it a marriage certificate? I can't remember. No, it wasn't on a wall. Someone had a marriage certificate on board ship. They thought it was a joke. They got married in Vegas. It wasn't a joke. They were pissed up. So I think they had to get it annulled. I remember hearing about this. I was thinking, stupid sailors, but it's what you do. So we went to Hamburg and Denmark. So we did quite a bit, but at the time we had David Cameron was the Prime Minister, and I remember him coming on board ship, talking about how, you know, the Navy's safe, you know, don't worry about it, nothing's going to happen with the Navy, they're going to scale down numbers, try to save money, but the Navy's safe, you know. And a month later, you see the news, HMS Ark Royal to be decommissioned, Harriers to be decommissioned. I was like, mate, my aircraft, my ship. At the time, I was like, am I going to get my redundancy papers? I said, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
And then they offered out voluntary redundancy to people. I was confused, but the ship got decommissioned after doing its Denmark, Hamburg, and then I joined HMS Illustrious.
Right.
And it was the same captain on both ships. He got moved over with me. Okay. So it was Captain Jerry Kidd. He's some top dog now. I actually found him on LinkedIn not long ago, and I added him. But
so was you working on the Harriers? On the Ark Royal?
No. So on the Ark Royal, I was part of the air weapons department.
Okay.
So air weapons. So you building bombs, putting together the missiles, basically anything to do with air weapons, even anything with an explosive on it. So even the ejection seats. So on the Ark Royal, I think it was the Ark Royal, I was tasked to teach all the flight deck crew how to make sure if we have an emergency landing or anything on an aircraft, how to make an ejector seat safe, because you could imagine it's all live. You pull one little handle in there, you're gone. You're flying. So it was cool. I had my own little workshop. It was me and one other Chief Petty Officer Potter. He was an absolute pisshead. So he would sleep until like 10, 11 every day. So I had the workshop to myself. He'd come in and be like, "You crack on, mate, do what you want, go gym." So it was easy. The only time that workshop would actually get used was if we were in wartime or we were in conflict. So you could imagine I was going into, where the weapons were kept, the bombs were kept, and just checking temperatures. Always taking training, taking temperatures, doing circuit training, talking with the Marines that we had on board. We were different breed, honestly, different type of people. Yeah. And then I got moved on to the Illustrious, which I did the same job. So as part of the Air Weapons Workshop.
That's another aircraft
carrier. So it was 2 aircraft carriers.
Yeah.
They were identical.
Oh, were they?
Identical ships.
Yeah.
And then I got moved onto that ship, done the same thing. Now I had a leading hand who was in charge of me. And he's a bit of a prick, but he had his role. Sort of guy that I said to him, do you mind if I get my breakfast now that you've got it? And he goes, well, I don't know. I said, well, it's up to you, mate. He goes, well, I know it's up to me. I'm in charge. All right.
What rank are you at this?
I was a sprog. I was like an able rate.
Able rate.
Yeah,
okay.
which is like your.
Is it private or?
Yeah, it's like a private.
Okay.
But I was like a private with trade training. So you had a star on top of your aircraft badge. It was yeah.
Okay.
You had an aircraft badge, a star on top of it. If you had 2 stars, you were trade trained, so you were mechanical or electrical. So I had 1 star at the time, I believe. I'm pretty sure I did. So I did a bit of time in there. We did a few more trips with that. Nothing hostile with aircraft carriers.
No.
We did no. I got to see the last ever Harrier taken off. You know when the one where the pilot put the for sale sign? I
haven't seen that.
So there's a picture, a very famous picture online. So when they got taken off service, this pilot, before he did his last takeoff, he put this for sale sign on the windscreen, and someone took a picture and leaked it, and the newspapers loved it. So this pilot probably got promoted, as they do. And I got to see the last ever Harrier
on that ship
take off. Yeah, wow. But it was. I felt a bit sad. So I remember decommissioning the Ark Royal coming into Portsmouth. I teared up for that, and I don't even know why. I mean, I was on there for a good year and a bit, and it became home. Like the noises the ships make and everything. You knew everything about that ship. And obviously, when the Harriers left, I was thinking, oh man, what do I do now? So after I finished on the Illustrious, and then you get, where do I go from here? And they asked me where I wanted to go, and I said, look, I want to go back to Vuqitrna or Yeovil. But just before I left the ship, I got a write-up from my chief who said that, I was really good. I was ranked first out of the air engineers on board ship. I don't know why, because we didn't do that much work on board, to be fair, but I got ranked 1, and they put me through for promotion. And I think one of the biggest things that helped me was because I had boxing under my belt, and I'd boxed for the Fleet Air Arm. And for some reason, the military love people who do sport.
Yeah.
So if you box, do judo, football, rugby, they love it.
So was you boxing on the ship?
So I was doing a lot of training on the ship, trying to get fights, but it's really hard because none of the instructors, the PTIs, were boxing instructors.
Okay.
So I had a bag, which they managed to get on board for me, and I'd hit the bag, and I'd do circuit training all the time to keep my fitness up. We had running machines. But the only times I fought was when I was at Vuqitrna.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I fought for the Fleet Air Arm while I was at Vuqitrna, and I was boxing. I fought in a place called Bovington.
Down south?
Tank
Yeah,
base.
right down the bottom.
That's it. So I fought there. I fought an army guy. I can't remember where this army guy was. So I've had 3 fights. I've won 2, lost 1. And then one fight I had we weren't recorded. It was like inter-squadron. That wasn't recorded, and that was a draw. And that was all in my write-up.
Right. Okay.
And it just looked really good, and I got promoted. And then they sent me to Portsmouth to do my training. I think it was leadership training. I can't remember where the trainings were. So Portsmouth's leadership training, and then I think your trade training is Portsmouth as well, HMS Sultan. So then you do which is like your beginning of your foundational degree.
Okay.
And you start doing that there. And I think that was 9 months of just training. So you did your leadership training, which was going out in tents and then just shouting at you again for a few weeks. And then you go do your trade training.
And then what rank are you there?
So then you get your leading hands rank.
Okay.
Which is your corporal.
So you don't have a lance corporal equivalent?
No.
Really?
No. So this
okay.
is. So I always thought our lance corporal equivalent is when you finished your trade training after doing your trade training. So when you do your basic, you do your trade training, you get your aircraft. Because my equivalent on the RAF was an SAC Tech, which was a lance corporal equivalent. So we did the same job. So without having the rank, we were all doing the same job. So I believe once you've done your trade training, you were your Lance Jack or your SAC Tech.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's weird, but we don't have that in between.
Right. So you just go straight to leading hand, which is like you say, a corporal equivalent.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I thought it was pretty cool, to be fair.
Yeah.
You know, got my rank, got a bit of a pay rise. Honestly, at the time, you're not paying rent. So I felt like a superstar. Bought a car.
Oh, nice.
Oh, it was living.
And where was you going to? Oh, Portsmouth.
Portsmouth, yeah.
Right.
So I did.
So you're there for.
So I did my. So I was basically getting shouted at Portsmouth for a while, and then you did your trade in Portsmouth. So about a year in total in Portsmouth.
In Portsmouth, yeah.
HMS Sultan again, which was where a lot of alcohol was consumed at the time.
Okay. Because just one thing on the HMS.
Yeah.
This is what throws me about the Navy. So you got HMS Sultan.
Yeah.
That's land-based location.
HMS Station. So that's why I look at it. It's Her Majesty Station.
Oh, it's
Sultan.
Okay, that's the difference. Right.
HMS Her Majesty Ship Ark Royal.
Right.
So
that's what always threw me off.
Yeah, everything. But then you've got HMS Heron, which is also RNAS Yeovilton.
Right.
So HMS Heron is also known as Royal Navy Air Station Yeovilton.
Right.
Weird, man.
Very confusing.
I know, right? So many names.
Yeah. So Portsmouth. You complete everything there. You're enjoying life. As you say, you get a bit of a pay rise. You get a car.
Yeah, man. I remember in Gosport, I went into the Kia dealership. It's the only car I could afford at the time, but I paid it outright. For the money I'd saved.
Yeah.
So all the money I'd been on board, I paid for a car outright, and I was thinking, oh, look at me. Crashed it within the first 2 weeks. in Tesco car park in Gosport. I didn't see the bollard as I was turning, just scraped it, so I had to pay some money to some mechanic to fix it.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
So once you've got that under your belt, new rank, then do you get sent somewhere else?
Yeah, so obviously I left after leaving the ships, the Illustrious. I left the Illustrious, and I had no aircraft to go back to because the government had decommissioned the Harriers. So I was asked. So I went and done my leading hands. I had no aircraft to go back to, so they asked me, "What do you want now? What aircraft do you want?" So I said, "Look, I don't really care." Stupidly. So they gave me Cornwall, Merlins, because no one really wanted to go down there. They're crying out for people. I saw that, went, "Oh fuck, what have I done here?" So rang up my favourite chief Pettis Hammond, the guy that's always looked out for me, and I said, "Look, I've messed up here, mate. I've proper messed up." He goes, "Oh fuck," so here's me looking after you again. I said, "Look, you're doing me so many solids here." And he managed to get me. He goes, "Do you want to go Yeovil?" I went, "I'll do anything. I'll sweep the runway at Yeovil. I don't care. I'll do anything." So he got me to Yeovil, and he sent me on to Lynxes, which was small aircraft. But they hardly go away. When they go on board ship, they go onto like frigates, Type 23s or whatnot. They've got a really small flight deck, and it's really hard to go away with them. So I was bored. I was like, this is poo. So then I requested to go into Sea Kings, the Green Sea Kings, because it seemed a bit more interesting. They were the Green Sea Kings. They had the Marines fly out with them. You get to wear a bit more camo clothing. So a sailor wearing camo clothing, I know, right? With a high vis on top. But yeah, so I joined Sea Kings. I was allowed to go on Sea Kings, and so I had to do my training on seeking. So I've now done training on Harriers. I've done all my training on Lynxes. I'm certified on Lynxes. Now I'm certified on Seekings. So it's 3 different aircraft in my career. I was thinking, I'm trying. Is there a medal to get all aircraft under my belt here? Because I'm doing well, and I'm decommissioning ships at the same time. So I'm like a bad omen here.
Yeah.
But,
so just on that, when you do all these, you say you got these aircrafts under your belt. Does that mean you can do what to them?
I'm competent to work on that aircraft, to sign off work.
Right. So you do some sort of fix, and therefore you
can sign it.
You can sign it to say this is good.
And you have to be a certain grade to sign off certain work.
Right. Okay.
Obviously, the big jobs, say like engine changes or whatnot, have to get signed off by your chief.
Okay.
But your basic, you're changing a door, you're changing anything like a panel or a small component which you can test, you can sign off yourself.
Okay.
Which was I'm downplaying it here because there are big jobs which you do sign as well.
And do you get to go up in all of these aircrafts? Like I know the Harrier you can't because
you can go up on Harrier.
Oh, you can?
We had at the time you had the Harrier GR9, GR7, but you also had the T-Bird, which was training aircraft.
So what, like a twin cab or whatever?
Yeah. So you had the trainee in the front, the trainer at the rear.
Okay.
So no, trainee at the front, trainer at the rear, and if they were to ever eject, there's a famous story actually where if they were to eject, the front goes out first and then the second goes out second. And there was a story a few years back before I joined. There was an aircraft doing a spiral as it was going down, and the trainer pulled the handle knowing that only one of them's going to survive. So he pulled the handle at perfect timing where the front seat went up first, but the trainer went downwards. So as the aircraft was doing spiraling, he pulled it at the right time for the trainee to go up first to survive, and the trainer killed himself, saving the guy in front, which I thought that's pretty heroic in my eyes, to be fair.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got to have big kahunas to do that.
Yeah.
So
did you go up in it?
No, you get to put your name down.
Right.
But you get to put your name down to go up in a Hawk, which was the training aircraft. So the pilots start off on Hawks.
Okay.
And then they go into the Harriers, which were like the big money. The Hawks are what the RAF use. You know, when they do their
Red Arrows.
Red Arrows,
Okay.
they use Hawks. But yeah, I had my name down. Never got picked. So
Never got picked.
Obviously, it's all about who you know.
Yeah.
There's guys that have been.
But you've been like really close up and got hands on. Like obviously you're doing.
Yeah, I've got a scar at the bottom of my arse cheek where I was you get to sit at the top of the aircraft, so you do inspection of the lights. You make sure the lights are working, make sure the seals work, the seals intact, and you can slide down the wing. And so what the Harrier had, it had these stator vanes, these little lines on top of it, and it allows the wind to direct. So without going into physics, it allows the wind to direct itself over the wing instead of causing turbulence and whatnot. And I forgot they were there. It was pretty dark, and I slid and I caught one of these stator vanes, and it caught my arse cheek, ripped my OV, and it just ripped some skin down to the bottom of my arse cheek. I was thinking, I remember bleeding walking in, arse cheek hanging out because my overalls had been ripped, and I never wore anything underneath. You're meant to wear trousers underneath. Nah, negative. Sometimes I used to go commando because it was a nice hot day. And I just remember my arse cheek just bleeding, and I just went to the chief. I said, "Oh, you going?" He just looked at me and you slid down the wing, didn't you? I went, "Yeah." You went straight to Med Centre. All right, roger that. So straight to Med Centre. Got my arse cheek glued by this nurse. I was sitting there, Ovi's that way. She was like, "I'm just gonna glue it. Doesn't look like any stitches. We'll just glue it." Oh, yeah, you glue whatever you want, love. Yeah, it's bad.
So yeah,
but you can go up on the Harriers, and I went up on the Sea Kings.
Okay, cool.
Which is pretty cool.
Just last question on the Harriers, because obviously, I mean, we do see loads of cool videos with the vertical takeoff and.
I mean, the Yanks still use them.
Do they still use them? Okay,
they've got the AV8Bs. That's what they call them. So we owned the Harriers initially, but we sold the drawings and everything to the Yanks, and then we bought it back.
Yeah, okay.
It's weird. Yeah.
So did you see a lot of takeoffs and landings and stuff?
Yeah, all the time.
All the time, yeah.
We used to do the vertical.
Is it as loud as it?
Oh, mate, yeah. And it's powerful.
Yeah.
So as you taxi them on way, so you give them the arrow, go that way. As they turn, you've got to turn your back and you've got to sit down, get on one knee, because the wind that it projects from the exhaust. Oh man, you just on your face. I mean, I don't know if you've ever stood underneath a Chinook.
No, but I have been behind aircrafts.
So you can feel
jet engines. Yeah.
I mean, the Chinook's got the downwash on the Chinook's unbelievable. The first time I saw a Chinook, they used to say, get down, protect yourself because it's got. Didn't believe it. I was on my arse. Chinooks are good pieces of kit, really heavy, but yeah, the Harrier will throw you down the runway if you can.
Did you see them? I might be wrong here, but when the aircraft land and there's a catch wire.
No, so that's what the Yanks have got.
That's what the Yanks have got.
The Yanks have got that. They've got a catch wire, which they've got this hook at the back of the aircraft, and it catches on.
Yeah. So we don't have that.
No, we don't.
No. Okay.
No.
Okay.
We got skilled pilots. No, I think the new aircraft carriers do, but that's when the Yanks come on board. But the F-35s, the new Eurofighters that we've got, they've got the vertical takeoff capability.
They have that as well.
Yeah,
okay.
we've got the A, B, and C variant. I think we've got the C variant, which allows for the vertical takeoff and landing.
Oh, interesting.
It's pretty cool.
So you had Harriers landing.
Yeah, all the time.
Ship,
and so if you were in one Charlie mess, which is your room, you were right underneath the ramp, so you can either hear them land or you hear a massive where they're taking off the runway.
Right.
And that was so when the squadron came on board, they were put in that mess because it was the loudest mess, and they could sleep there because it's their aircraft making a noise. But it was also after a while, they found out they've got emergency hatches in their room, and if they open the emergency hatch, it perfectly lines up with the toilet below. So you'd get them squatting, doing the Afghan squat. In Afghan they do the squat. They do the Afghan squat, and they just drop poo, and they would always miss. And we were cleaners on board. You were firefighters, cleaner, you were everything on board, and you'd have to go clean up these massive logs. You're just like, oh God, you look up, you're like, yeah, I can see this hatch there. Yeah, it's great. Or they'll open the hatch and you're taking a dump and they'll just throw something in your head and close the hatch. You're like, wanker. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Harriers. They did a lot of history.
Oh, mate,
for
yeah,
us,
no,
right?
I think they saved with the army. They saved Kosovo, I think, at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, they dropped 500-pound bombs in Belgrade. Do you know what I mean? That was what stopped Milosevic at the time from trying to go all out, doing an ethnic cleanse like he tried to do in Bosnia and Croatia.
Yeah.
Mental.
Yeah. So going back to Yeovil, Sea Kings, working on those, and you said that you get to go up in those aircraft.
Yeah. Obviously,
a lot more.
There's more space on them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So you can request to go. So every time you fix something, you got to do a test run. So you do a ground run, which is your standard. You get the rotors running, make sure everything's running, all the levels are fine, and it goes up in the air. Usually you'll find the more senior guys go up, or the senior guys go up because they know what they're looking for. But you've also got you can request, can I go up? There's no reason why you can't. There's enough space. You get a flight helmet on. You get your harness, which you connect up to the roof, and the door's fully swung open. You literally sit out like this, sit on the door, just enjoy the Somerset scenery. Which is pretty cool, to be honest. I loved it. Do you know what I mean? I thought it's weird because I remember one of the guys in the aircraft, my first time up, he goes, "You see it leaking?" I was like, "Fuck, it's leaking." He goes, "That means there's oil in it. It's good news." I was like, "What are you on about?" He goes, "Yeah, no." He goes, "When it's leaking, it's good news. It's when it doesn't leak, let me know." I was like, "What?" But yeah, no. Those little tricks of the trade you pick up. And now, on my current job, if something's leaking, it's got juice in it. It's fine. So you take it away with you.